What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Rick Knows Hoops. I'm your host, Tyreek. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you are new. This is a place where we talk all about NBA basketball, so if you love hoops, this is the place for you. And today we're looking at another article. This is the 2018 NBA Redraft. We looked at 2017 the other day. That was the class with Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, Bam Adebayo, just to name a few. There were some good ones, some bad ones in that article, but today we're looking at 2018. I was going to do 2016, but 2018 came out earlier today. And I want to take a look at it, and I haven't seen any of the rankings. I kind of already seen the 2017 ones a little ahead of the time, at least like the top 5. But I haven't seen anything from this class. I think we know who like number 1, number 2 might be. Let's go ahead and get into it. As you can see on screen, we have the 2018 NBA Redraft, and it kind of spoils it. We know Luka Doncic is going to be number 1, but I'm interested to see who's behind him. This is also by Andy Bailey. Came out September 15th. So earlier today, depending on when you see this video, but September 15th is the date. So let's go ahead and get into it, man. They start from the bottom of the first round to the top, just like the article from my last video. So let's go ahead and get into it. Number 30 is Mo Wagner. He was originally picked 25. He's had a cool NBA career, kind of been flipping to different squads here and there lately. I believe he's in Orlando now, getting to play with his younger brother who just got drafted in the lottery. Don't really have too much to say. He's been a very cool NBA player in his stops. So we'll move on to the next one. Drew Eubanks has found a little bit of a role in San Antonio as a backup big. I like what he's provided. His biggest highlight that I remember, I think he dunked on Giannis' brother in the bubble. That's what I remember from Drew Eubanks. Number 28, Hamidou Diallo. He just signed a new contract in Detroit, so congrats to him. Very, very solid player. I think he's improved pretty much every season. He was in OKC at first. Came out as just a high flyer, won the dunk contest, but now he's developed into a pretty competent NBA player. I like what I've seen from Hami. Shot a career high from 3 this past season, 34%, which is a little below league average, but compared to where he was when he was in college and his rookie year till now, that's a big time improvement. Also averaged double figures this past season, so shout out to him. And like I said, he signed a new contract, so that's big time. He's still in Detroit, by the way. In the 27th, this, I don't know about this one. Gary Trent Jr. at 27. I don't know about that one. I think Gary Trent should be a lot higher. I was somebody. I'm gonna have this tweet on screen because I've been the leader of the Gary Trent fan club since draft season when he was coming out of Duke. And that says something because I despise Duke basketball because I'm a North Carolina basketball fan. And I was a big believer that he was being very underrated in this draft class. He ended up going in the second round, 37th overall. And this one only has him going 10 spots higher. This is somebody that just signed a nice contract extension with the Toronto Raptors. He's had big-time games over the last couple years. He was big-time in the bubble for the Blazers. Had some nice playoff performances. I don't really agree with this one, man. I'm still a believer that Gary Trent should still be in Portland. I don't think that they made the right decision for their current roster to trade for Norman Powell and giving up Gary Trent. But I don't know. Right here it says he can only claim that he's good at one skill set. And that's shooting the ball. I mean, he's an excellent three-point shooter. I think he's actually a better defender than he gets credit for. And he's not just a three-point spot-up shooter. He can take you off the dribble, one-step, two-step dribble pull-ups. Not really a one-trick pony. I don't really agree with this. 27th overall. I'm interested to see who's above him because that seems very low for somebody that was probably the sleeper in this draft class out of everybody. Next, Mo Bamba falls from number 6, which is where he was originally taken, to 26. Somebody that just has not found his footing in the league, man. And it's a shame because he looks like he has so much potential, but he just hasn't really found his footing at all. It's sad that the highlight of his career is the song that's named after him. That's probably the most popular thing that's thought of when you say the name Mo Bamba. So I'm interested to see if maybe he can just find some more minutes with Nick Vucevic gone, but Wendell Carter's there, and Wendell Carter finished the season very strongly. So, Mo Bamba's probably going to have to revert to being a backup, and he's going to have to accept that role and try and be a star in his role. So, I wish the best for him. Hopefully he can find his way, being, potentially trying to develop into a stretch 5 who can shot block. I guess a Miles Turner type of build. They're both from Texas too. So, yeah, it's been a tough stretch so far for Mo Bamba. Hopefully he figures it out. And then we move into the top 25. 25th, Grayson Allen. So this one, they have him falling a few spots, down 4 spots. Another Duke player. I don't mind Grayson Allen's NBA game. I think he's bought into his role and being a spot-up jump shooter, being an okay defender. Like, he gets effort on the defensive end, but his main thing is shooting the three-pointer, and he's a very good jump shooter for sure. I'm interested to see him in Milwaukee this season. I think that was a nice pickup that the Bucks did, only having to give up Sam Morril. And I think he's going to be able to excel in his playing time in Milwaukee this season. Next, Bruce Brown Jr., who was originally taken in the second round. I got him going all the way up 24th. Now, I love the value that Bruce Brown brings as a defender. Very good defender, very versatile, can guard multiple positions. He has a nice floater, which is something that's pretty interesting. He has a very nice floater. He's like 6'4", but he plays a lot bigger than his size, can rebound the ball well. I would still have Gary Trent higher than him, though. That's my biggest gripe so far, is Gary Trent being so low. I like Bruce Brown a lot, though. I think he's a very valuable player to the Brooklyn Nets. And I think 24th compared to where he was drafted before is very, very good for him. I believe he also got a new contract this offseason. 23, Jared Vanderbilt. He just got paid, too. So a lot of these guys just got contracts, which is good, very good for them, man. Jared Vanderbilt, he was pretty cool last season. Right here it says per 75 possessions, which is a little bit of an advanced pace. He averaged 11 points, 10 rebounds, and 2.5 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals and a block and a half, which is very solid numbers per 75 possessions. So it's a little like if he played 75 possessions, this is what he would average. That's pretty cool right there. I think he's a good fit next to Karl-Anthony Towns. I think he's a little bit forgotten about. Brings a lot of energy to that front court for the Minnesota Timberwolves, a little different element for them. And I'm glad to see him get paid, man, because somebody went to Kentucky, didn't really work out at Kentucky as, most players envision. They envision going to Kentucky, being a star, being a lottery pick. Didn't really work out that way. But, he stuck with the process. Didn't really work out in Denver, got traded in the Malik Beasley trade in the 2020 season to Minnesota, and he found a role there. So shout out to him for just continuing to, bet on himself. And he found a role and he got paid because of it. Next, 22 overall, Marvin Bagley, who was the number 2 pick in this draft, man, falling all the way to 22. I've talked about Marvin Bagley a little bit in my Kings video the other day. He's been cool when he's been on the court. The one thing that's been killing him, though, is just the games play number. He seems to be always hurt. Like, I probably can count on one hand the amount of Marvin Bagley games I've watched in the last 3 years, and it's not a lot. Health is the big concern for him, and also I just think everything's ran its course in Sacramento. If you watch that video, man, Sacramento just has a very poor draft history, and this is one of the ones that's going to stick out the most because of the guys that were taken behind him. Obviously, Luka Doncic was taken right after Marvin Bagley, and yeah, this is going to live with Marvin Bagley forever. I hope that he really is able to get his career on track because I thought he was going to be a sensational player coming out of Duke. He was somebody as a freshman that dominated the ACC, and I'm hoping that he can get his career, back on the right course because I think he's still a very talented player. Still very young too, so it's not the end of the road for him. But seeing him fall 20 spots, that's actually ridiculous. 21, Kendrick Nunn. Big time sleeper in this draft. He was undrafted and he comes in, didn't play right away. I believe he played the following year. He was in the John Morant Rookie of the Year race. But going from undrafted to being the 21st player in the redraft is pretty cool. I'm interested to see his role in the Lakers, man, because he's gonna have a chance to be a key piece to the Lakers team that's trying to compete for a championship this season. And I didn't know his numbers scoring the ball were so good last season. 14.5 points per game, shot 38% from deep, 93 from the line, and it says he shot 58% on 2-pointers. So that's pretty good numbers last season for Kendrick Nunn. And now let's move into the top 20, man. Number 20, Javon Carter. That's a shock. I didn't expect to see Javon Carter this high. I love what he brings to the table. He didn't really get a lot of opportunity towards the end of the season and the postseason last year for the Phoenix Suns. But very good defender, man. Very good defender. Kind of struggled shooting the ball last season, but the year before he was shooting, I think, 40% from deep. And that's a very, good thing to have when you had that 40% three-point label next to your name. And you're also an exceptional defender at the guard position. I think he's going to get a little more opportunity in Brooklyn this year, and I'm excited to see Javon show what he can do, because I think he's a very good player. Somebody that won Defensive Player of the Year when he was in college, and I think he's going to get a nice opportunity in Brooklyn, even though Brooklyn is stacked. I think he's going to play a pivotal role in their quest to win the championship. And seeing them top 20 is cool, man. I don't know. I still might have Gary Trent, because this draft is all about, the way that they said it's not about fit at who's drafting at these positions, the hypothetical positions. It's more of who's just the better player. And I think Gary Trent is better than every guy that I've mentioned since he's gotten drafted, honestly. I'm not really I think Kendrick Nunn's cool. Jarrett Vanderbilt's cool. Marvin Bagley's cool. But I think Gary Trent has proven he's a better player than all those guys. So that's just my opinion. Number 19, Jayshawn Tate, Ohio State grad. That's a school I go to, by the way. He was originally undrafted, and he's really found a role, man. He played very good last season. Took him a couple years to get into the league. But, hey, everybody's journey is different. That's something you got to remember. Everybody does not have the same path to their successes, man. So shout out to Jayshawn Tate for just staying the course. Yeah, he just had a very good rookie year, man, as an undrafted player. Shout out to him. And I think the Rockets found a very good steal in him, and he's going to be a part of that young core for the foreseeable future. So I'm excited to watch the Houston Rockets. Kevin Huerter pretty much goes at the same spot. He goes one spot higher. Don't have much to say about Kevin Huerter, because dude's a killer, man. Dude's a killer. He showed his killer instinct in the postseason. I believe he dropped 27 in Game 7 against Philly. So I don't have too much to say about Kevin Huerter, man. He knows that he's a real deal. He's going to get paid very, very soon. Jalen Brunson moving up 16 spots to number 17 overall. Very, very solid backup point guard. I mentioned how Villanova players just come in the league, and they're just good. They're just very sound. The Josh Harts, the Jalen Brunsons, the Mikal Bridges, those guys are just sound NBA players. Jalen Brunson fits that mold. Should have got more playing time in that first round series against the Clippers, but I digress. 16, DeAnthony Melton, somebody who's really improved, man, who's found his role in Memphis. I really like his game. He shoots the three ball, defends very well. He was originally taken with the 46th pick, and he moves all the way up to 16. So the theme of this draft is guys getting drafted late in the first round or late in the second round, mid-second round, and jumping all the way up into the first round. So that's very cool to see that this draft is deeper than just the top 5, because they had some very good players in that top 5, but it's deeper than that. Now moving into the top 15, another guy who was just taken in the second round, Devontae Graham. I think he's due to break back out this season after he had the breakout second year. Last year in his year 3 was not that good, kind of took a step back. Was getting the same volume of shots, but just could not find his consistent rhythm. With LaMelo Ball coming in, with Terry Rozier stepping up even more. I think this season going into New Orleans, I think he has all the tools at his disposal to do what he does best, and that is be an elite 3-point shooter, man. I think he's gonna have a lot of good opportunities. He's gonna have the green light because he's probably the best floor spacer on that team, and I'm expecting the bounce back year from Devontae Graham. It's cool to see him jump up into the top 15 after being taken in the second round, and his rookie year was very underwhelming. 14th, Wendell Carter. He was taken top 7, number 7 overall. He falls 7 spots to 14. I think he's due for a breakout season as well. I think Wendell Carter going into a full year in Orlando, he's probably the best player on the roster. Maybe other than Terrence Ross, but they're going to be invested in Wendell Carter, trying to get the most out of his talent. I think he's going to have a very big year. Played very well for them in the second half of the season last year. Moving on, number 13, Miles Bridges. He was taken 12th. Now he's taking number 13th overall. Big fan of Miles Bridges. I love how he's reorchestrated his game, has embraced coming off the bench and being like a power forward and I guess sometimes a small ball 5. Become a pretty good 3-point shooter. Still can get up and down in transition. Will dunk on you at any time. Really love Miles Bridges' game, and I love his role with the Charlotte Hornets, man. Hornets, another team that's going to be fun to watch this season. And then another undrafted guy, man. That's like the third undrafted guy that we mentioned in this redraft going in the first round. Duncan Robinson. He got paid. We know he can shoot the lights out. D3 to the NBA is the craziest story ever, or one of them. But Duncan Robinson going all the way up to number 12, man. We know that he can shoot the lights out. That's what he does. He's gonna shoot 8 threes a game, and he's gonna knock down a good percentage, man. It says right here his career 3-point percentage is 42%, which is already like top 15 all time. So that just shows you how much of a great shooter he is, and he got paid this offseason because of it. Moving on to number 11, Dante DiVincenzo jumps up. Get healthy, man. I think if he was healthy in the playoffs, man, that would have just been another added tool to the Bucks' disposal, man. He does his role so well. Can be kind of a secondary playmaker to them. A cool 3-point shooter, defends pretty well. Not great at one thing, but he does a lot of things very well for this Bucks team. I'm excited to see him just get healthy this season and get back in the rotation, man. So, very impactful player. And the Bucks, the champs, are going to get richer because they get him back, even though they did lose some guys. Now let's move to the top 10. 10, they got Collin Sexton going number 10 overall. He went 8 in real life. Now they got him going to 10. I'm interested to see who's ahead of him, man. Collin Sexton he gets buckets, and he does it efficiently. He's not a small guard that just jacks up a bunch of shots to get his points. Even though he does put up a decent amount of shots, but he's efficient with it, man. I think he shot like 47 or 48% from the field this past season, scoring 25 points per game. Now, obviously, the Cavs, they got to decide between Garland and Sexton. That's the Sexton nickname that they've been given. But, yeah, they got to decide between the two. It's like everything I've seen in the offseason says that they're more sold on Darius Garland, which is understandable. Darius Garland's been very improved over, from his rookie year to his second season. But I think, Collin Sexton can still be a great value to some team. Some people might think he's a sixth man. I still think he can be a starting guard. Depending on, what's orchestrated around him, you'd probably have to have a bigger, point guard or, whatever, because I think Collin Sexton is a 2. So I'm interested to see who's ahead of him because he's been very good so far in his NBA career. Let's move on to number 9. Mitchell Robinson, another guy, second-round pick, jumps all the way up to the first round. Was a great find for the New York Knicks, man. The Knicks have this thing where they draft a lot better outside of the lottery than in the lottery. Some of their lottery picks have not worked out, but some of the guys that they've taken outside of the lottery, like a Mitchell Robinson, like a Emmanuel Quickly, have panned out very well. And I think Mitchell Robinson, hopefully he can stay healthy this season, man, because I think he's somebody that's not really talked about as much, and I think he still has a long ways to go, man. Games played. It says it right here in the first line. Averages 50 games played in his first 3 seasons, so that number definitely needs to go up for the Knicks' sake, as he wasn't even available for the postseason this past year. Let's move on. Number 8. Wow. Robert Williams jumping up to 8 is kind of surprising. Another guy, I can tell you from watching him his first 3 years in Boston, just isn't on the court all the time. When he's on the court, he's really good. He got paid this offseason because when he's on the court, he's really good. He's just not on the court all the time. That's the big time thing for him. That's why you're going to get an Al Horford in the offseason, because do you want Robert Williams playing 30, 33 minutes a game? Probably not, because he probably won't last that long and won't last throughout the season. So you got to have a lot of depth at the big man position. Seeing him jump all the way up to number 8, kind of surprising. But like I said, when he's on the court, he's very good. I think you can kind of interchange him and Mitchell Robinson, but that's a discussion that's not worth having right now. Number 7, Jaren Jackson Jr. He was taken 4th. Once again, another player. Games played is the biggest issue, man. When Jaren's on the court, he's great. And the Grizzlies are banking on him being on the court this season because they pretty much got worse as a team talent-wise. So they're banking on John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. to be that dynamic duo. I hope Jaren can be on the court, man, because he is a great player when he's on the court. He looks like he grew a couple inches when he came back from his injury last year. Like to see him, try and be a better rebounder and continue to just be a good offensive player, stretch the floor. Believe he was like 40% three-point shooter his year 2. So, yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr. very talented, just has to stay on the court. That's the big issue for him. Mikal Bridges jumping up from 10 to 6. Don't really have too much to say about Mikal. He is one of the better 3-and-D players in the league. He does his role very well, very good defender. I think sometimes you would like to see him more involved in the Suns' offense. I think there were lapses in the playoffs where it's like, can we get a Mikal Bridges game? because I think the Suns were playing so well without having those games from Mikal Bridges, from Jay Crowder, that if you got those games from them, they were very tough to beat. Game 2 of the NBA Finals is a prime example of that. I think it was Game 2. Might have been Game 1, but when Mikal had a very big breakout game, I would like to see him get a little more involved in the offense this season. So, he can just be that reliable player that when it comes postseason time, it won't be if Mikal Bridges is going to have double-digit points. It's only a matter of when. So, seeing him at number 6, I think that's a very cool spot. I think most of the controversy is kind of between like the mid to late first rounders. The Gary Trent one was really the big one. I'm interested to see who's ahead of Shai, because off the top of my head, I can't think of the 4 players that I haven't talked about yet other than Trae Young and Luka Doncic. And I'm probably just going blank right now. But Shai at number 5, I'm sorry. I don't know, man. I think Shai could probably be top 3. I think Shai could be top 3, man. Shai is, dude. I just don't think people understand how talented Shai is offensively, man. I think he is one of those special players that can be an elite go-to player on a very good team. I really do believe that. You could even see when he was healthy last year, the Thunder were a lot better than anybody expected. They were still around 500, so they had to shut his ass down. They had to shut him down because they were winning too many games. I hope that he's able to play a full season without getting shut down, because I think he can be an all-star this year. I'm a firm believer in that. I think him, John Morant can both be all-stars in the Western Conference. I think they're that good at that young of an age. I think that is not really too far-fetched to say, man. But Shai at 5, so let's see who's ahead of him, man. Number 4, DeAndre Ayton, the number 1 overall pick. I dang near forgot. Almost forgot he was taking number 1 in this draft. But, yeah, I think DA, playoffs, he showed that he is super, super talented. His counting numbers his first 2 years were good. Last year, I think, took a dip a little bit. We expected big-time things from him, like most improved player type things. Didn't really happen right away. It takes a long time for a big to get used to a new guard, even if that new guard is Chris Paul, one of the best all time. But given that DA is so young bigs take a long time to develop, and he showed in the playoffs why he was second number 1 overall. But I think I want to see it for a full year. I want to see it for a full season. I want to see that dominating for a whole year. That's what I want to see. So, I mean, I think you could have him. You could probably switch him and Shai. You could probably bump Shai up to number 3, depending on who number 3 is. I'm kind of going blank. But, for DA, my thing is I want to see him be really good for a full season. I don't want to just see the playoffs, even though that's when you want to raise your play even more. But he's young. He's going into his, 4th year. He should be dominating all year long. So I want to see that from him this coming regular season. I did forget he was taking number 1 overall. That's just how good this draft class is. Michael Porter Jr. at number 3. This top five is tough, man. Michael Porter Jr. has just been he's been so good. He's been very good. Like, he has been very good, very efficient. He doesn't see a bad shot. Like, he thinks every shot's a good shot. He's fearless when it comes to shooting the ball, and he's efficient. Like, he's efficient, and when he gets hot, he can score points in bunches. Pretty good rebounder, too. Defense is improving. Would like to see it take another step this coming season. But, man, yeah, you almost forget he fell all the way to 14th because he had back problems. And I think his back started to go bad towards the end of the regular season. But it didn't really show too much in the playoffs. So hopefully everything is cool there. But MPJ, he's somebody, if he comes out this season and does what I expect him to do, and that's to score like mid-20s, I think, per game, I think number 3 is pretty warranted. This draft, heavy hitters, man. We know who number 2 is. It's Trae Young. Trae Young turned me from somewhat of a critic to a fan over his postseason run. I love how he embraces not being liked, being a villain. I love how he embraces that. He doesn't care. He doesn't care at all. He comes out, he kills, he plays his role. Even when he's not scoring the ball, he still affects the game. So Trae Young, man. Trae Young is that guy for sure. MVP type qualities for sure. And we know number 1, Luka Doncic, definitely has MVP type qualities. Imagine if Luka would have got taken number 1 overall to the Suns. I mean, that's a nice what if. I do like the combo of Ayton and Booker, but man, Luka and D Book would be nasty for sure. Don't really have too much to say about Luka. I guess it's just about him, trying to take the next step. But let's see how Dallas does this year. They didn't make any big moves this offseason, but I still think they're going to be a pretty good team out west. So, yeah, the redraft, man. The only issue I really had was Gary Trent being 27th. Other than that, I think this was pretty cool. You could argue Shai move up a spot or two. I wouldn't disagree with that. But other than that, I don't really think like this was too controversial. It's really the Gary Trent one blew me. But other than that, man, I like going over these articles, man. I like going back and seeing who was in this draft class because I forget some guys came from this class. So for sure, I'm gonna try and do 2016 tomorrow. I think they might do the 2019 one might drop tomorrow too. But I'm gonna do 2016 because that's the one that they first started with. So that's the one that we're gonna do tomorrow. So be sure to tune into that one. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe on it. And subscribe if you are new. Like this video. Helps out the channel a lot. And I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And I'll be back next time, y'all. Peace.